In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the front struts on this BMW X5. These are going to be located behind the front wheels. Let's get into it. We're going to move the wheel, use a 17mm socket, take the lug bolts out. Before I take the last lug nut off, I'm just going to hold the wheel from falling and take this off. And grab the wheel, pull it right off. Now we're going to remove the axle nut. The nut is going to be peened over right here. You want to take a punch or a chisel and just with a hammer, just try to bend it back just to make it a little easier to remove. And you're going to use a 36mm. Most vehicles are going to have a 12 point, so you're going to need a 12 point socket. But 36mm. Take the axle nut off. And we're going to take the nut off for the sway bar link. Use a 18mm wrench. And for the stud, we're going to use a T40 socket. Prevent the stud from spinning. Just loosen this up first. And once you get it a little bit loose, if you have a ratchet wrench, you want to switch to that. 18mm ratchet wrench. Makes it a little easier. We'll take that nut off. Take that off. I'm just going to use a pry bar, just pry down the sway bar slightly, and you can pull the stud out of the knuckle. Good. Using a 16mm wrench, 16mm socket, take this nut and bolt out. You can use a pry bar, pry this down, pull the bolt out. If the bolt doesn't come out that easy, you might have to use a punch and a hammer, tap it out, and slide this up. If this doesn't separate that easy, you can always use a pry bar and just separate that there, just like that. That's going to pull out like that. Just be careful with the tension on the brake hose. You can just pull it to the side a little bit. And we're going to pull the axle out of the knuckle. Just leave that like that. It's out of the way. And just to prevent the brake hose from getting too much tension on it, I just put a tie-down strap, or you could use a bungee cord and just have it so it's supporting the knuckle while it's sitting there. Open this box right here. I'm going to disconnect these connectors. These are for the wheel speed sensor and also the brake pad sensor. So just push down on the tab, disconnect the connectors. Then you have two grommets here in the bracket. Just want to pull those grommets out. I'm just going to use a straight blade screwdriver just to help pull that out. Pull those off. Pull those off the bracket. Move to the side a little bit. Now this lower bolt, we're going to take that out. Use a 21mm socket on the bolt, 21mm wrench on the nut. Take that out. The knuckle might drop a little bit, that's okay. Now at the top of the fork, we're going to take this bolt out, use a 18mm socket. Take that out. Get the bracket. And you should be able to slide this down. You might have to push it over a little. You can use a hammer if you need to. Slip this off. that out of the way. Under the hood, we're gonna have to take this cover off. There's these wing nuts all on the side here. You just take a 13mm socket. You just have to twist them 90 degrees. Just loosen those. Once you do those, then we can just take this cover, just lift it up. It separates from the other side. Pull it up, and then pull it out. And just grab the weather stripping, just pull that up, just slide that over. We don't have to take it off the other side. I'm going to take some of these screws out. I'm going to use a 5mm hex socket. Screw right there. One in here. There's one back here. Take those out. And down here, there's 2 more screws. We're going to use a 10mm socket for those. Take those out. That's it. Take those out. There's a push pin right here. I'm just going to use a trim tool. Pop this push pin out. Pull that out. Now grab this panel, slide it up. I'm just going to pull it out. Pull that out of the way. If you have some wires attached, you want to pop those off with a trim tool. Now you can access the nuts. Now using a 13mm socket, we're going to take these nuts out. And the last one, once you take the last one out, I'm going to just grab the spring from underneath so it doesn't fall. All right. Now I'm going to pull the spring out and pull it down, and it comes right out. Now you want to take the assembly and install it in a compressing tool. Compress the spring so that the shock or the strut is loose. I'm going to take this nut off. I'm going to use a hex socket. This is a 6mm hex socket, 18mm wrench. I'll loosen this up. Once you get it loose, you can switch to a ratchet wrench. Make it a little easier. And before I get to the end, I'm just going to hold the strut so it doesn't fall on the ground. Oh, that's loose. Take the nut off. And you can take the strut down. Slide that down. Pull that out. Now take the new strut and we're going to compress it and let it extend 3 times. There we go. Now transfer over the rubber bushing at the base, the foot pad. If you need to use a pry bar, just pull this out. That's good. Pop that off. It slides off. This bumper, pop that off as well. Slip that on and slip the bumper right over. All right, that looks good. Now slide the strut through. Up into the spring. And go through the mount. Make sure the base is lined up with the spring. Install the washer. And put the nut on. It's all lined up. And tighten this down. Snug that down. Now we're going to torque this to 35 foot-pounds. We're using a 18mm socket that is open like this so that we can get in there to prevent it from spinning, and use a 6mm hex key. That's good. Now you can remove it from the compressing tool and reinstall it in the vehicle. Now we're going to take the strut assembly. Make sure you have a nut with you. It is only going to go up one way. These studs are different lengths apart, so you might have to twist it to find the right sequence. Get that lined up. And then reach over, get the nut started on the stud. There you go, then you can let go. Now from up top, we're going to put the other nuts on. Those are all started. We'll tighten those down. Now I'm going to torque these nuts to 20 foot-pounds. Now take this cover, slide it underneath. Get that lined up. There we go. Just make your adjustments how you need to. That looks good. Take the push pin, get that lined up, lock that down. And the screws, get these all started. And get these screws started. Make sure they're all in there first before you tighten them all down, just in case something doesn't line up. That's good. And tighten them down. snug those down. Take the weather stripping. Re-secure that down. All right, that's good. Yeah, this cover is lined up. And tighten down the wing nuts. It's all set up top. Now I take the fork, slide that over the axle, get it under the strut, slip this onto the strut, get that lined up. Push it in place. You're gonna have to rock it back and forth a little bit. It slips on. See the bolt with the bracket. Get that started. Snug that down. Snug that down, we'll torque that later. I'm just gonna pull the tie strap off, out of the way. Make sure the axle goes in the knuckle. Get that lined up. And we can raise the knuckle. If you need to, use a support. You can use a floor jack or a pull jack. Get that lined up. And we'll get the bolt in. The bolt started. All right, get that on. Get the nut on. We'll torque that later as well. Now the upper arm, using a pry bar, just pry it down. Let's get that lined up. There we go. Take the bolt, get the bolt through. Put the nut on. Now snug that down. We'll torque that later. And pry the sway bar down so you can get the link in. Through, take the nut, get the nut started, and tighten this down. Snug that down. Now we're going to torque the link nut to 74 foot-pounds. Now we're going to torque the ball joint, nut, and bolt to 41 foot-pounds. Now torque this bolt to 59 foot-pounds. Now underneath the vehicle, we're going to raise up with a pull jack, just support the suspension. You want to get the suspension as close to ride height as possible before you tighten this nut and bolt down. Just be careful. Just raise that up. And we'll tighten this down. And torque this bolt to 121 foot-pounds. That's good. Now you can lower the suspension. remove the pole jack. Now I take these wires, connect these through the bracket. ABS wire and the brake pad warning indicator wire. And connect the connectors. They only connect to one connector, so you're not going to hook them up wrong. And in this door, push the connectors in there and close the door. Take the axle nut, put the axle nut on, tighten it down. I'm going to take 2 of the lug bolts, get those started. With a pry bar, just going to go through here. Now we're going to torque the spindle nut to 310 foot-pounds. Good. Take the pry bar off. Take the lug bolts out. And right here where there's a notch, you can take a punch or a chisel and just give it a tap. Just peen that over a little bit. Do the same on the bottom side. Now take the wheel. Get that lined up. That's good right there. Get the bolts started. Snug these down. Now we're going to torque the lug bolts to 103 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. Go around again, double check.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.